Have you ever seen a PC case and thought to yourself, what the f is that? Well, that's exactly what I was asking myself today when I pulled the AZZA Regis out of the box. It's very, I've got no words. This thing is, it's a case, still a build. All jokes aside, I didn't ask for this case. It kind of just arrived at our house and I was just like, you know, you saw the intro. You know how I feel about this really odd thing, but the real question is, what made AZZA think that a case needs a stand, right? It's just such a bizarre concept. But what we're gonna do is, obviously we're gonna do a build with it, because these builds that we do on the channel are designed to inspire you guys to build beautiful PCs of your own. Now, I've got to level with you. I think this looks pretty cool. It is definitely not the easiest case to build in. It's not the hardest either. It's just really odd. And to be honest, I don't see anyone buying anything like this ever, unless you're using it to display on a show floor at a convention or something. Otherwise, you know, I don't understand who would buy something like this, because it takes up too much room. It's a bit unnecessary. It's a bit over the top, but let's build. All right, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this build in the AZZA Regis. Now, I didn't bother testing the thermals because I can tell you for a fact already, without even doing it, they're gonna be not good because there's basically only 2 places to intake or exhaust other than the back of the case, and yeah, it's just not gonna be excellent. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is really one of those cases that I see that will be used for displays for stuff like conventions and show floors, or if you've got heaps of money and you really, really hate your money. To be honest, I don't even know the price of this case, and I don't even think it's important because I'm gonna be blatantly honest, no one's gonna buy this thing, but it is cool that it exists. And here's one thing I will say, like, I know that I've thrown some shade at this case, but the thing is, with the design and construction of this case from AZZA, much like all of their cases, this stuff is super premium and it's really well put together. The way that it's put together and the materials used, you can tell that these are properly handcrafted cases. So, like, all of my negativity aside, it is cool that it exists because, you know, it exists. Why it exists, it's anybody's guess, but you know, I honestly, I don't think anyone's gonna buy this. But if you do end up getting this case, please let us know, because I wanna see where you put it, because it doesn't look like it's that big, but it kind of is, because the footprint of it is really weird. It's really tall. It's a lot wider than it should be. The depth of it's fine, but you just need quite a bit of space to have a PC like this in a case like this. I don't know, maybe someone will buy it, maybe I'm wrong. So prove me wrong if you buy this thing. I really want to know who you are and why you hate your money so much. And I know we didn't test thermals, but I wanted to chat to you guys a little bit about the parts. The CPU is the Intel Core i7-12700K. We put that on the Asus ROG MAXIMUS Z690 Hero. Wow, that is really a mouthful of words, but it is a really, really nice motherboard. And I've got another build coming with it really, really soon. To cool the 12700K, we use the NZXT Z53 RGB cooler. You know, the one with the screen, and there's literally a unicorn spewing on the screen in this build, right? One thing I wanted to mention as well, NZXT sent over a box, and when I say a box, I mean like 20 LGA 1700 brackets. So any AZZA cooler I've got now, I've quite literally got brackets for all of them to adapt them to LGA 1700. And if you want to see what I said about adapting coolers and stuff to LGA 1700, I'll put a link in the description. You can watch that, where I talk about, you know, the state of coolers around the launch of LGA 1700 and Z690. And I said in that video that it's probably going to become obsolete really, really quickly, but you know, it is what it is. The RAM's a new one. It's Corsair Dominator Platinum RGB DDR5. It's a 64 gig kit at 5200 megatransfers. The GPU is the Asus Tough Gaming RTX 3070 Ti OC edition. Yeah, that's what the box says, OC edition. And lastly, the case, obviously, is the AZZA Regis, the most interesting case that I've come across in a while. Now, a little bit about this case, right? So as I mentioned, it is hard and it isn't hard at the same time. And what I mean is, you know, it's a cube, so you can make everything you need fit, but you're limited by GPU clearance and that kind of stuff. And I actually shied away from doing a full review of the case because no one's gonna buy it. No one's gonna buy this case. I'm sorry. I don't think any information I have about this would be useful. And I'm sorry, but that's just how I honestly feel about this case. The other thing as well, 240mm AIO is basically all you can fit for liquid cooling in here. You could do a custom water cooling setup in this if you really, really wanted to get aggravated, right? You could make it work, right? I'm not being negative for the sake of being negative. I think this case is ridiculous. It is quite literally ridiculous. Anyway, so you've got that 120 or 140mm fan mount on the back, right? All good. You can put an exhaust fan there. Now, what I didn't realize when I put this together was you still can't do it any other way, but the radiator is at the bottom of the case on this, right? It's a really weird choice from AZZA. Maybe they want you to air cool in this, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, from what I can tell, AIOs in this case are a no-go. And even with the fan mounts on the back side, you're limited for space, right? So what I mean is, even with two 120mm fans on the back side, all the cables are hitting the back of the fans. I had to do some ninjutsu to get the cables to not go into the fans. So if you're thinking of doing custom water cooling or putting the radiator on the back side, you're in for a world of pain because it's going to be pretty hard. I mean, it's not impossible, but again, you have to use that for intake, and you'd basically be blowing hot air into your motherboard if you were to do a custom loop in this. So, you know, I actually have a plan to do a custom, well, rather, hang on, rewind. I had a plan to do a custom loop in this for a showcase build for a project we've got coming up. But after building in this today, because I just had to know if it was going to be worth my time, it's not. I'm not doing it because the stuff I wanted to fit in here, it's just not going to work. So at the end of the day, the Regis isn't a very practical case, but I gotta say, it's pretty good to look at. I like how it looks, but yeah, definitely not something I could see anyone actually buying. Please prove me wrong. Somebody please prove me wrong. It's ridiculous, and I love it. I love that it's ridiculous. I love this weird stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, you gotta be realistic. And if you want to know what the rest of the parts are in the system that I didn't mention, there's a PC part picker list down below in the description where I list all that stuff. And I make all of the music here. It's me. There's a link to our Patreon where you can grab all that music for a small fee of whatever it is on Patreon, because I don't run the Patreon. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. What's the line, Claire? Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Yell it with me. You peak. We. Why are you making this hard for me? Nice and loud for the whole class. You peak, we seek. You couldn't even hear Claire. Hey, but here's one thing, ladies and gents, that Claire doesn't know. Shh, don't tell Claire. But she's actually in this video. Shh, don't tell her. What? First person to comment the time code where they see Claire wins an Intel prize pack.